Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today, as you can see, it's a little bit of a different video. We're going to be swatching and reviewing every single one of my bronzers that I own. I've been doing sort of these type of declutter videos. I did one for my lip drawer. I wanted to do this one a little bit different, not necessarily a declutter, but just swatching everything and giving you guys a mini review just because I feel like I have so many of these products and I want to do reviews for all of them, but that would take so long if I did individual videos. So I'm just going to give you an overview, which ones are my favorites, swatches, pros, cons, stuff like that. So let's go ahead and get into it. Before we start, if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and do so. I think it's down here or down here. I never remember. But go ahead and subscribe. Give this video a like if you enjoyed these types of videos and want to see more of them. But let's get started. Alright guys, so here is every single bronzer that I own. I'm going to talk about each one and I'll probably swatch the majority of them as well. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just start with the cream ones over here just because I have the least amount of them. So starting up here, I have a Bare Minerals. This is one of their hydrating stick foundations, but this is the shade Chestnut, which I use for bronzing. This really isn't my favorite sort of foundation, but I do really like it as a bronzer. It's super creamy and it just blends out beautifully. It is more of a warm tone, so I do have to go very light-handed with this, and it's very pigmented. And then next up is my Anastasia contour stick in the shade Fawn. I mentioned this in my conventional product video. This is like my perfect contour shade. It just has the perfect amount of cool tones in it without being ashy. It blends really well. And it's just a great contour stick. I really love this. It's been lasting me a really long time as well. I think the ingredients are pretty decent and I just really love this for contour. If you have fair skin and have trouble finding a contour shade, definitely recommend this one. And then next up I have two of the Physicians Formula Sculpting Bronzers. Both of these, I love these formulas. Super smooth, they blend beautifully. This one is the shade Toffee, which is the lighter one. As you can tell, it is a bit more warm tone, so more like a bronzing stick and less of a contour. And then they do have the deeper shade Mocha, which has more of like a neutral cool undertone. I use this as a contour sometimes. I just have to be very, very light-handed. These are super pigmented. They blend out like a dream and they're just a really stunning formula for the price. Next up I have the Cocoa Kind Chaga Glow. This is actually one of their like highlighting sticks, but it is a bronze shade, so it's in my bronzer drawer. This is really pretty. I don't really use this a ton because it is very metallic. It's nice to add a little bit of a glow, but I really don't reach for this a ton. I do like to keep it on hand though, just in case I want a really glowy stick bronzer. I think these are pretty cool from Cocoa Kind. I have two shades of the Bare Minerals Bare Pro Glow. These are called their liquid bronzer. These are really interesting. I have the shade Warmth and Faux Tan. This is the shade Warmth, which I believe is the one without any shimmer in it. No, this one does have shimmer in it. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that too well. But these are really, really thin bronzing formula. They're really nice to mix into foundation if the shade is too light, or just to use under or over. They're really, like I said, thin, so they just blend nicely. This is the shade Faux Tan. I like this shade a lot better. I obviously did way more for that swatch, but it just has more of a neutral undertone, and this one doesn't have any shimmer into it, so I think it's just really gorgeous. That is definitely my favorite shade out of the two. These are super unique in my collection. I don't have anything that's a liquid bronzer like those, so those are definitely staying. Had to go get my wipes because my hands are all swatched up. Okay, and the very last cream bronzer, I have two left here. First is the Kjaer Weis. This is their bronzer in the shade Dazzling, also a highlight for deeper skin tones. I'm going to be doing a full face of Kjaer Weis very soon, so oh my gosh. So just keep an eye out for that. But this is a really pretty bronzer. It's definitely more on the shimmery side. I think the tone is nice. It's not too warm. It just adds a nice glow to the face, but it does have good amount of shimmer in it. Yeah, keep an eye out for this video to hear my thoughts and review on these products. Next up here is the Kosas Tropic Equinox Duo. I talked about this in my full face of Kosas. It's like a bronzer blush duo. It's in my bronzer area though. If you want to hear all of my thoughts on this, just go ahead and I will link that video below. Definitely more of a warm tone orangey type of bronzer. I think these cream formulas are really nice though, and I'm definitely keeping this. Moving on to my powder bronzers, which are the majority of my collection. They're definitely my favorite type of bronzer. I just really prefer powder formulas on my skin, although there are some really beautiful cream ones I love as well. You know, I'm getting there. But let's start with the palettes I have here. First is this Pacifica palette. It has a bronzer, 2 highlights, and a blush. This bronzer is so beautiful. I'm actually kind of hitting pan on this. Not hitting pan, but there's like an indentation in it. This is just one of those really pretty soft matte bronzers that just blends really beautifully. It's buildable, not too pigmented. I think it's really nice if you have a fair to light skin tone. If you have a deeper skin tone, this is just going to be not going to have enough pigment for you, but I do really like this formula. It reminds me of the Han Cosmetics Malibu. It's just a beautiful formula, and I think great price for all of these because I really enjoy the blush and the highlights as well. And next up is this Bare Minerals Bare Glow Face Palette, which has a bronzer, blush, and a beautiful little highlight. This highlight is a little dark for me, but here's the bronzer, which I also have the full size of. This is called the Faux Tan Powdered Bronzer. My hand is wet, so it's not swatching that well. This is just that warmer brown shade, a little bit of sheen through it, just like the liquid Faux Tan bronzer. It just has a golden glow to it. Not my favorite shade of bronzer, but I do think it's a nice blendable formula. So again, this is the exact same bronzer here, just the Faux Tan in the pan. I don't really know why I have both, but I do like the blush and highlight, so I will keep that. Same things as the other one, nice and blendable, a little bit of a golden sheen to it. Oh, I do have one more cream product I forgot about. This is the Ilia Summer Essentials Face Palette. This has more than just a bronzer. This I thought I would be able to use as a bronzer, but when you put it on your skin, it sort of turns pink, even though it does not look pink in the pan. This really is my favorite. I don't use this a ton. I think these are like nice cream formulas, but again, I just don't reach for them a ton. So that's probably one of my Ilia products that is just, it's not used a lot, even though I think it's pretty not my type of product. Let's get into these powdered bronzers. This is one from Cloven Hollow. I don't know the shade of this because they only sell like loose pans that you put into one of these compacts. I really do not like this bronzer. I feel like it's super dry. Like, as you can tell, it does not like swatch. Like, it's just so dry, you can't really get any pigment out of it. Like, you really have to build it up. And when you do, I think the shade is just too warm tone for me. I don't like how dry this feels. I don't think it's a nice formula. I would not recommend this one. I think there's a lot more, I think there's better quality bronzers for this type of price range. Next, staying into the realm of the more affordable bronzers I have, this is a Han Cosmetics bronzer. This one is the shade Ibiza, which I thought I would like. The pigment is really nice on this. It's just too warm toned. I did want one with a shimmer, but it's almost like a highlight. Like, if you have a deep skin tone, this would be a gorgeous highlight for you. But I don't know, I just think Malibu is definitely my favorite. I don't have that on hand just because I have so many other bronzers I want to use, but I would recommend the Malibu shade of this one. This specific shade, Ibiza, is just not my favorite. Next, I'll talk about these 2 baked bronzers I have here. First is this one from Well People. It's called their Bio-Base Baked Bronzer in the shade Natural Tan. As you can tell, this does look pretty deep in the pan. Make sure my hand's dry here. This is a really nice formula. It does have a bit of a sheen to it, but it's not too much. It's definitely a very buildable bronzer, which is why I enjoy it. I think it leans a little bit on the red tone. It doesn't look the best on my skin, but I think they did a good job not making it too orange. So I think for a lot of different skin tones, it would be versatile. I like how they blend. I like the formula of these. These are pretty decent bronzer. This isn't really going to be a declutter video, by the way, because I just recently went through everything and sent some stuff to Project Beauty Share. So this is really just going over everything and swatching all these. So next up is this Found bronzer. This is the Golden Bronze. I do have a full face of Found video on my channel. This is such a pretty bronzer. I like this better than the Well People one, and it is more affordable. It definitely has more sheen to it. It just gives you a really pretty glow. is on the warmer side, so if you have a fair skin tone, just go light-handed. But I find that's because it's so buildable that, you know, it's just really easy to work with, great for the price. This brand is definitely a hit or miss, so just check out my video if you want to know which products I liked and which ones were a miss, but this was definitely one of the hits. Next up is probably the oldest bronzer in my collection. This might be expired, but I don't know, it just has some nostalgia in my heart, so I'm keeping it. A little bit hard to open. This is the Lily Lolo Sculpt and Glow. This was like an OG clean beauty favorite type of product. Comes with this bronzer and the highlight. The bronzer is really nice and soft and not too pigmented, as you can tell. Definitely on the warmer spectrum of bronzers, but I think it's nice. I did use this a ton. It was like at one point one of the only bronzers I owned, and yeah, OG bronzer right here. Definitely not my favorite. I don't reach for it a ton, but I think it's a good formula. On to this Thrive Cosmetics Sun Chaser Blur and Sculpt Bronzing Powder in the shade Ray. This I really wanted to like. I think it's a nice formula, but for me, the tone of this, I don't know, I can't get this to blend smoothly on my skin. I know it doesn't look that warm tone, but I feel like it's not a flattering shade for me. Maybe if I have a little bit of a fake tan on. Like, it is really soft. I like how it's matte, but I just haven't been able to get this to work for me, even though I think it's a nice formula. But if you had a deeper skin tone than me, I think you would actually really like this because, like I said, really smooth and blendable powder. Next up, I have this Charlotte Tilbury Sculpt and Glow. Is that what it's called? No, Bronze and Glow palette, Film Star Bronze and Glow. Mentioned this in my conventional beauty favorites. I really like this. This shade is perfect. It's like a good mix between a contour and a bronzer. It's just like a really neutral brown that these are really, they're like not pigmented, but that's like in the best way. They're just so buildable and look so natural on the skin. I'll swatch the highlight for you guys if you will be able to see that. I really love this. I reach for this a ton if I want like a powdered contour. It's just really soft and easy to work with. It's great if you like don't really know how to do contour. It's honestly like a foolproof product, I think. All right, and then next up I have the Lila B Sun Kissed Bronze Beauty. As you can tell, I have hit pan on this little bronzer. I've used this and I have two videos of Lila B on my channel, two full face videos, 1 year apart. If you're curious to see that in action, I think this is nice. I like to swirl both of the colors together. One's more matte and one is a bit more shimmery. I think this is the perfect like warm bronzer for me. It's not too orange. It has the perfect amount of sheen to it without being really glittery. I just think it looks so beautiful on the skin. Definitely have to be light-handed because you can go overboard since it is more on that orangey warm type of bronzer side, but I do really enjoy this. Next up is the Hourglass Nude Bronze Light. I just talked about this in my previous video of Hourglass. If you haven't seen that, just check out my last video. This is like my favorite, one of my favorite bronzers at the moment. It just is the perfect tone. It's not warm, it's more on that neutralish type of bronze. Again, like all the Hourglass products, they give this beautiful sheen without being shimmery or glittery. So this is just, I think it's so worth money. I hope it hasn't been doing that the whole time. I really hope so, you know? Next up is this Honest Beauty Dusk Reflection. This is a highlight, but it's the deeper shade that I use as a bronzer. This is honestly such a beautiful bronzer. I really love this. I've loved this for the longest time since they have had their old packaging. I think it's so pretty. It's similar to the Hourglass one. It has a little bit more of a sheen to it. More on that like reddy brown side, but it's really flattering on the skin, sheer and buildable. So it's not easy to go overboard. It's just a really, I think, a user-friendly bronzer if you have lighter skin or just need a nice bronzer. I think this one is beautiful. All right, and then we have two left. First is this Cover FX. This is the Sun Kissed Bronze, the lighter shade of their bronzer duo. I did just recently get this. I'm going to be doing a full face of Cover FX as well. This is a really nice bronzer. I love both sides of this. My hand is wet, so it's swatching a little crazy. But I feel like it's just, again, that perfect tone of not being too warm, but it just adds like the right amount of warmth to your face. I really like this. I like to mix both of them or just use the matte one on its own. I think the shimmer one, you have to be a little bit light-handed with it because it is pretty shimmery, but if you just like swirl them all together, I think they're really pretty. And yeah, wow, I just totally got that dirty. The very last bronzer, this is my favorite bronzer at the moment. It's the Pure Bronzing Act bronzer. This is the perfect bronzer if you have very fair skin like me. It's just really super soft and it blends like a dream. Like I feel like it's impossible to get streaky with this. It's just so beautiful. They do have a deeper shade of this as well if you're a little bit darker. This one is super light, like even for me. I feel like I have to build it up, but I just love how buildable and blendable and just soft it looks on the skin. Definitely the most natural looking bronzer. It does smell like chocolate. Really nice. Reminds me of the Han Cosmetics Malibu. If you like that, I think you would love this. Just A+, love this bronzer. Alright guys, so these definitely aren't organized, but that was the little reviews and swatches of all the bronzers that I own. Let me know in the comments below what your favorite bronzer is, or out of all of these, which one you think you would want to try, or a couple that you have your eye on. Let me know below. I'd love to know your favorites as well. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed this type of video, because I'd love to do it for blushes, cream blushes, foundations, anything like that. Let me know what you'd like to see next below. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.